Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rome Total Realism with me, Grey Hunter, where this is the continuation of that previous session where apparently Audacity didn't want to record. So I've decided that, seeing as I've made that discovery about Sabinus being held back by that one unit that we drafted into his army and moved around, that if we remove the units that took recruits from that unit that had moved its movement allowance, we could move him, and we did, to that place where we were going to send Drusus originally. Luckily, we didn't have to. I gave him some Thracian Cav, because Thracian Cav are brilliant, and hopefully we were going to be able to get some mercenaries. Unfortunately, we weren't able to, but that's okay. Frees up Drusus, minus the infantry that he's going to donate to Sabinus, that is, to go and take care of that army that is below us. It's just in the right-hand corner of the screen. I actually detached one too many units, though in hindsight I could have actually taken that unit, because I then get rid of the Heraclea unit that's been hanging around with Sabinus for ages and ages and ages. It's not a big deal though. So we gave the extra Hastati unit to the fellow besieging that city that I can't remember the name of. Tarsus? No, Tarsus is further south. I can't remember. We'll see it eventually. So I have a look around for troops that I can take. I did see those hoplites last time, I believe, or I noticed them just when I clicked on the mercenary screen then. But hoplites would be very, very useful for breaking into that city. So I traded the Thracian Cav to Sabinus so that we could then assault using those hoplites. So the plan is to attack Heraclea, take it, and then split the army from Heraclea, and the gates are open, thank God. Take the army from Heraclea and split it into two, sending some to Sinope and some to help Sabinus. So, we're facing a very, very small army. I could auto-resolve this. In fact, I should probably have auto-resolved this, because in hindsight, the casualties we take taking the actual city kind of make it not worth it. Because auto-resolve could have screwed us, but trying to break into the town did, for definite. It wrecked a Triarii unit, wrecked most of a hoplite unit, and unfortunately, our Thracians. Which is obviously a bad thing, because Thracians are very, very good. They're very good light infantry, much like Hastati. And once we get onto actually using legionaries more, though I'm not sure how much longer the campaign will last, because we're actually fairly close to achieving the endgame goal. If it lasts long enough that legionaries are our primary army in the field, Thracians make very, very good cheap versions of them. So I set up an attacking column. I don't actually use any of the other Roman infantry except the Triarii, but I like to have them just in a line so I know where they are, etc. And we send the Triarii in after the hoplites, I believe. So we're just going through a bit of army setup. It doesn't really matter in this case, because it's not going to be a big deal. We're just going to go in there basically and, well, crack some heads together until we get what we want. But, organization is good. So everything is all set up. I decided that the Triarii should go in second, if they go in at all. And we send the hoplites just charging straight in. They do look pretty cool when I send them running off in a column like that. The way Rome Total Realism looks is amazing. And considering that this game is 10 years old this year, I mean, wow. It still looks cool. So lucky for us, the gates are open. If you have to capture the actual gatehouse, boiling oil can come from the gateway. But luckily for us, if the gateway has been opened by your spies, you don't have to worry about it. If we did, the amount of guys that get bogged down in that gateway would have, yeah, that would have been very, very bad. Very bad indeed. Come on, in you come. There we go. Now you're doing it. So this basically turns into a massive meat grinder, and this is an example of how good hoplites can be. I did say at one point, I think it might have been in the last post-commentary episode that we did, that if you park a unit of hoplites in front of the gates, and the gate is the only way in, you can probably hold that unless they swarm you, like we're swarming the Seleucids now. But if you've got a decent quality hoplite unit and you stick it in that gateway, it is not going to move. It's going to stay there until every last man is dead. Now I try to move our Thracians up onto the walls, because I'd like to capture the walls due to the whole tower shooting at us thing. But unfortunately, because of the derpy way that Rome Total War and Rome Total Realism work, they try to wander around before going into the actual tower, which doesn't work when there's a unit parked almost right in front of it. They just kind of have a moment. You can see them having a moment now, so I decided, fuck it, just charge them. Charge them. If we kill this unit quick enough, maybe we'll have a chance. And they're holding out fairly well. That's mostly due to the morale bonus that the AI gets. The Persian phalanx pikemen are actually really bad. So when we see armies that are comprised mostly of them, it's a very good day. Them and Sparabara, they don't do a very good job. So as you can see there, I tried to move the other Thracian unit out of the way so that it wasn't actually touching the Persians, but even so, it still doesn't work. They still get trapped and bogged down, and we basically just have to kill all those Persians before we can actually go and take the walls, which is unfortunate, because I would have preferred to avoid being shot at for about 5 minutes. But it is not to be so. So I believe this is the point where I try to actually send guys up onto the towers, and they just derp out completely. They just don't want to go, basically. They're just not interested. They're more interested in having a moment. Yep, there we go. I thought they were going to go up into that tower. No, they were changing position so that they could attack. Then they thought, actually, maybe we should go in the tower. And then they changed their minds again. And the other unit on the other side is doing no better. Which, as I said, is very unfortunate, because Thracians are very good troops. I'll be very happy when we can actually start producing some of them at Ratiaria. I think it's Ratiaria. I even considered doing another campaign as Thrace at some point, though if I do another campaign of Rome Total Realism, I think I'll go for the short version, where you only have to take about half the amount of provinces and not all of these victory condition ones, because this is turning into a real grind. Though it's sort of my fault. I did decide to attack the Seleucid Empire instead of waiting for them to attack me. Come on. Hurry up and break, you bastards. They're shaken, but they're really not budging. They're just going, no, we're going to stay here for a bit. There's only 55 of them left. And yeah, that's the point where I decide, bugger it. Let's just hurry up. There we go. Now we send some troops up there. And some troops up the other way. And I believe the Triarii go to capture the tower at the end there. Well, the middle tower. Just after the gatehouse. And we're almost ready to send our hoplites off.
Our soldiers have captured the walls! Now is the time to press on and capture this place!
Yes, indeed. So fighting the slingers up on the walls, they're not going to do a real good job. They never do. And the Triarii I sent off to capture the next tower, so our archers won't be getting shot at as they advance. But yeah, as you can see, they've basically broken 3 units there. The militia hoplites, not the militia hoplites, the mercenary hoplites aren't such a big deal. But the Triarii, which we can't retrain any more of, so I suppose they're not such a big deal, but they are fairly elite and they are fairly powerful. And the 2 Thracian units got thoroughly... they just got broken. Which is a bad thing. Very bad thing, because they're very good units. And it's a shame to see them wasted so. So now basically the plan is just to park out here and engage those cavalry in a firefight before charging them. Ideally, we would have drawn them out of the actual square and fought them there, but unfortunately we can't do that. They are too clever, and they're a missile unit. They don't need to go out. So basically we just wait for them, and wait some more. Our archers are starting to put some fire on them, which is nice. But it won't quite be enough. At least not to get the job done quick enough. And I sort of want it done really quick. I'm getting a little impatient at this point, because I'm very pissed off, basically, about the losses. And, well, the audio commentary for that, if it had been done live, would have been a lot funnier than it is this way. But this is a lot more polite, too. And kill them all. Charge! So, the effect that has is it'll draw in the rest of the actual cavalry. Once you engage a unit, the rest of their troops wrap back around towards wherever it was that they were engaged. So, we're lucky, and we're able to catch them and kill them all. You've clearly won the battle. So, it wasn't too bad, but we exchanged men on almost a 1-for-1 ratio, which is not the greatest thing in the world. Luckily, this is an army that's sort of more of a reserve than anything else, but it's still irritating, basically. Because we shouldn't have taken losses that badly. And if we'd auto-resolved, I reckon we probably would have taken less. The auto-resolve can be a little wonky, though, so I didn't really want to do it. And Augustus is now a commander. He actually can fight. He's been in wars. And he now knows how to lead an army. So we continue our recruitment of spies and building of temples to make sure that the populace is going to be happy with us. But eventually we're going to have to convert over to a policy of defense in depth. So I'm expecting that in the next few turns, and thus the next few videos, we're probably going to lose a couple of the towns that we've taken. Adana! That's what it was. That's the name of the town he's besieging. Adana. Anyway. Anyway, as I was saying, I think we'll have to move into a policy of defense in depth as we wait for reinforcements from Italy and reinforcements from the Greek peninsula. I do, near the end of the episode, I believe, start recruiting a mercenary force with Scaevola Senior, who's going to bring them over by a boat, but that's only 2 stacks. And 1 stack will be entirely of mercenary troops, basically. So it's not the greatest reinforcements around. So we're deciding which troops to take with us to attack Sinope and which troops to leave behind. And it's a tough choice because I don't want to make the force that attacks Sinope too small, but I don't want to make it too heavily laden down with troops either. So we're basically forced to choose what we're going to send to support Sabinus, because Sabinus has a tough fight ahead of him. That is an army of good troops that he's facing, and if we don't give him adequate support, it would end in a loss for us. So we start moving Servius up towards Heraclea. He's going to be interim governor, and we give him a Hastati unit, I think, or I borrow one from somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Hastati and Principes, even though they're being phased out of the army itself and we cannot retrain them anymore, are still good as garrison forces if you've got the cash, because they're still Roman units. They're very high quality Roman units, even if they are pre-Marian. So we've moved that army under a captain behind the Seleucids, and I move Cornelius, I think his name is, and some cavalry up to help out as the beta force. So our plan of attack is to basically maneuver, and you'll see it in a minute when we actually begin the fight, or however long it takes. Our plot and plan of attack will be to maneuver around the enemy army so that what they will do when they retreat from battle, be it because we've killed enough of them or because they've decided, oh well, we don't really want to be in this one. If we kill enough of them quickly enough, the plan is to get behind them with our reinforcement army. And right now I'm trying to decide which one to attack with. I generally will go with veteran troops over non-experienced troops where I can. So really, Sabinus was kind of always the choice, But this is when I realised that I still got that Equite unit. And though they've served well, they are no longer useful. So I look to see if we've got a replacement unit for them somewhere. I don't believe we do. Or maybe I borrow another infantry unit from Drusus. I think it might be an infantry unit from Drusus. I consider the Triarii for a minute, but there's so few of them, and we need numbers in this one because we need staying power. So I'm pretty sure that I go with a unit from Drusus. But we're stretched awfully thin right now, which is a problem because the Seleucids have a lot of armies coming towards us. At the time of recording this post-commentary, I'm actually 2 or 3 episodes ahead of it. And I did finally figure out that Audacity wasn't recording anything, thank God. But it was almost a 2-hour session that I didn't know about, so hating post-commentary as I do, this was not much fun. Well, currently it isn't much fun, I'm still recording the post-commentary. But the idea here is that I'm going to send these spies into Sinope. I'm hoping that we can open the gate and then just rush through it. I don't actually attack in this video. I consider it, but I believe I in the end decide that attacking would be too costly because I don't have enough infantry. So I'm looking around for another couple of spies to send into that town because I'm really hoping that we can get the gates open. So I haven't quite come to my decision yet. And there's some troops in Adana that are going to be very, very difficult to kill. I was considering attacking even so, though, because I would like to get those spies back. We don't, though, because Adana, well, it can wait. If somebody decides to try and attack us there, it's possible that we can fight them off. So I opt in for the long wait, because I hate siege assaults, as I've mentioned many a time over this Let's Play. I don't like siege assaults. Siege assaults are costly, they are foolish, and in Rome Total Realism, they can be deadly if you do them too often, because you won't be able to retrain your troops, and eventually when the enemy catches up with you, splat. So the fact that I've been assaulting some of these towns, even though they've got small garrisons, could eventually end up crippling us, because at the point we're at... Oh, and here we go, we did actually get the gate open. That is very good. I consider assaulting, but I'm fairly certain I decide against it. As good as it would be, I'm pretty sure I wait. I do look to send him reinforcements, but basically we haven't really got anything that can make it there and still be worth sending. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm a couple of episodes ahead, and while it's not by any means going to end in our defeat, it's going to be costly. It's going to be very, very costly. And you'll see why when we get to those episodes. I don't want to spoil anything. You guys can probably guess what it is, but badness. Badness, badness, badness. Alright, so it's time to commit. Come on, Harius. I believe I'm trying to decide whether or not to... Yeah, there we go. I send him an extra unit of infantry, because he needs it more than Drusus does. Drusus can fight this army by himself, I'm fairly certain. Alright, so a quick save to make sure everything's locked in. And attack. So we're attacking Abbas of Atilius. Atelia. Yes, so he has an army of strong infantry, and those infantry are going to be a very, very big problem. When you meet a Seleucid army that actually has proper phalanx troops, and very good ones at that, there's a unit of Argaspides, I think they are, Argaspides. They're basically the dudes. They're like the Triarii for Rome.
But they die like anyone else, so do not fear them.
Thanks, Sabinus.
They have been brought to the battlefield by muling infants instead of leaders. There is no advantage in numbers to either side.
There actually isn't. For once we have numerical parity.
Will be the keys to this day's battle. Yet, that said, They are the stronger, better men. If we go at them bullheaded, we aid their strength. Cunning will be what wins the day.
Well, that's good, Sabinus, because we've got
They
cunning.
will, unless completely unthinking, try to use the woods to screen some of their troops.
There's about 5 trees on the entire
I have
map.
never yet lost a fight against these men. I have no intention of starting today. So together, we will gain another victory.
Huzzah!
Now I say, this far and no further. Here we make a stand. You all know my worth and what I have done before. Of the foes who attacked me in the past, few ever got to boast of their success. Be of good heart, for within the day, reinforcements will reach us.
We're kind of counting on them.
And the first man to the enemy gets a jug of my finest wine.
And traditional to the last. Well done, Sabinus. Keeping up the troops' morale. So, as he said, they are better men. What that means usually when the general says that is that the troops you're facing are of higher quality than the troops you have. In this case, it's a very, very bad thing. So what I decide to do is because what we're eventually going to try and do is wrap around to the left, we will deploy in echelon further down the slope and march up it instead of beginning on the slope and trying to move around on the plateau that's at the top of it. So we just go about our normal army composition. Barbarians on the left and Thracians on the right. Although Thracians are technically barbarians too, according to Romans, so I don't know, is that barbarians to the left of us, barbarians to the right? Here I am, stuck in the middle with you? Possibly. Possibly. Alright. So basically, this battle is a test of ability on both my part and the part of our troops. I know, it's strange thinking that AI and digital people have any say in the matter, but they do, because the troops that we've been fighting with are very, very experienced, but we had to throw some of them away because of a mistake I made. So we have to fight with half our veteran troops instead of all of them, because we had to swap for 4 fresh units, rather, of Hastati and Principes. So we try to move up the hill. I try to move our forces so that they're still facing generally the right way, but we're going to have to do a manual change in a second, because I want to swing more to the left, and unfortunately the way that formations stay together when you do the movement that we're doing, which is selecting all of them and just right clicking until it gives us the right sort of formation, it doesn't always work quite right. So you'll see when I try to click onto the left, it'll decide that what we actually want to do is attack with only our right flank. I'm not sure how well it'll show up because we're fighting in a deserty sort of terrain and the colour is yellow. Yeah, there we go. It seems to believe that what I want the Thracians to do is run straight into the Seleucids and fight them. So we do it manually instead, just to make sure that we get the right sort of layout. It would be disastrous if we sent half our army in and the other half just sort of stood there looking at it, going, come on lads, come on, you can do better than that. There we go. Alright, so our cavalry in this one is very, very good for pursuing and taking on the cavalry that the Seleucids have a lot of, which is missile cav, because our Thracians actually do have javelins. They're also actual heavy cavalry, so if we charge them in by themselves, they'll probably take a lot of casualties, but they would be able to drive off a unit of militia cav that is missile based more than actually melee based. So it was a good swap getting rid of the Equites for that extra unit of infantry, because there was only 13 of them, and while they were a good unit, we couldn't retrain them anymore, so it was a good idea to get rid of them. This army, though, this army that we're facing, is very, very, very dangerous. And advancing up onto the hill like this to face them is kind of suicidal. Well, suicidal-ish, basically. Because we can win, we do win, but it's a hard-fought battle, and a battle that could have gone better, though we do fairly well. Alright, so we've got our auxiliaries on the left and the right flanks, our regular Romans holding the centre, and our archers have finally been able to open fire. We're lucky in that we were able to negate most of the hill advantage. But I still would have liked to have done more. I start sending the cavalry off to the right because my plan is originally to try and wrap around and kill the general like we have before, but before we are forced to engage with our infantry. I'm hoping basically to get a quick, easy victory by killing the general and then charging everything straight at them and hoping that we kill enough of them before the hoplites kill enough of us for our reinforcements to rock up and save the day. I do not like it when your peltasts are actually within range shooting at my people. It's not very nice, Seleucids. It's not very nice at all. I do not appreciate it. Please kindly fuck off. No? Didn't think so. So the Galatians actually take the brunt of the damage from incoming javelins, which surprises me because the Galatians aren't really the danger in this army. They're good and all, they're fantastic for charging and doing some good damage on a weak flank, but they're not really the heaviest hitting forces. I would have focused more on the Thracians and the Roman infantry if I was facing an army like this, but to each their own AI, to each their own. So they're actually moving their infantry forward. I didn't think they would do that, but I'm assuming in hindsight that what they decided was, hey, his general's out there by himself with just a couple of units of cavalry. We've got mostly spear infantry. I reckon we can do it. And apparently some of my Cretians ended up on skirmish mode, which is not what I wanted. Not at all. Alrighty. Now, I believe that unit off on the very, very right, moving just in front of my lines, is the enemy general. Yes, it is. That would be the time. He's decided that what he's going to do is he's going to stand right in front of all my javelins, and I'm willing to oblige him by throwing them at him. Yes, I should probably have saved them so that I could fire them all at the phalanxes and do more damage before the phalanxes got to me, but it's worth it to cut down his men, because if I can manage to get the cavalry around behind them, and he happens to be there, that would work out very much in my favour. Now I charge our cavalry at these Persian Sparabara, although I shouldn't really do it. I'm confident that we're able to break through with our Thracians guarding our flank. And it turns out that we actually are, but it still was kind of a foolish move for me because it turns out there's 2 units there. I thought there was 1. There's not, there's 2. There's a unit of Sirtian swordsmen as well, but we did break the Sparabara. And the phalanxes are kind of, they're just not really sure what they want to do, because the general's running back and forth. Alrighty. So the cavalry goes in again. Do a bit more damage to the Sirtian swordsmen. They're not overly impressed with my attack. There we go, and our reinforcements have arrived.
This is hopeful news indeed.
They're not exactly where I wanted them, and the Seleucids haven't exactly turned the way I want them to, but it's close enough. It's close enough for our purposes. So I decide that really all we can do is order a frontal assault. So I send absolutely everything we've got at these bastards. And the cavalry sneaks on round. I say sneaks, it doesn't really, it's not all that sneaky. But they attack the general, because the general, with his 3 bodyguards, decided that what he wanted to do was come really close to where my cavalry is. Not his best life choice ever. Yeah, that didn't work out so well, did it?
Be praised. The enemy general is killed.
Now I'm running with my cavalry, because I was actually thinking that phalanx was about to turn and attack me, but turns out, if you watch carefully, there's a bunch of units breaking, because we just killed their general. Hooray for morale shock. Run, you bastards, run. I actually changed my mind about charging with the cavalry. I thought about it. I decided that I'll wait because they're too close to the rest of the unrouting phalanxes. But we've pretty much managed to get rid of most of their army in one single attack, which is very, very good. And we've done it for not many losses of our own. Unfortunately, this little cluster of troops just off to the right-hand side of the screen that we just moused over, they are going to stick around for a while because they've got the Agaspides and 2 units of Chalcaspades, I think they are. I don't know, those guys. Anyway, what we decide to do is move all the cavalry forward because I want to mop up as much of this force as I possibly can.